Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Papalinus and my presentation is on SRUN-R, which is a reading strategy that helps to improve your memory and comprehension. It's great for more difficult texts and consists of 5 steps: surveying, reading, underlining, note-taking, and reviewing. These steps will make a little more sense when you see my example on the next slide. So I used this strategy for my Sociology 127 reading by House et al. The first step is surveying. So I surveyed the people in my house to see if they'd ever read this article. Unfortunately, they hadn't, so this step was pretty ineffective for me. But the whole idea is that if you can find someone who's read the text before, they can really help you understand what to expect, so you have a better understanding and comprehension overall of the material. You then move on to step 2, which is reading. I read the entire 24-page article in one sitting. It took me about an hour and a half, so it wasn't too bad overall. I then did underlining and note taking, which is steps 3 and 4. I did them simultaneously since they sort of overlap anyways. So while reading, I made sure to highlight everything I wanted to remember, which meant I had to end up highlighting most of every page just because I wanted to make sure I really remembered all of the information in the article. I also made sure I was taking notes by copying and pasting everything I thought was important into a Google Doc so I could look at it later. I then moved on to the last step already, reviewing. So a couple days after I read the article the first time, I reviewed it by rereading it again just to ensure I really remembered everything and encoded all of the important information of the article. Stop. That is not at all how you should be doing this strategy. Let's rewind and try it again with the correct steps. This is how it should really be done. So the first step is surveying, but it's not a poll survey. It's a quick glance at headings to get a better understanding of the article's content. You should be spending no more than 5 minutes just quickly looking at all of the headings and the end of chapter summary to get an idea of what's going to be talked about. You then move on to reading. You should break the text into smaller chunks by headed section. That way you can really focus in on the information. So instead of reading for 24 pages straight, I should have broken it down into smaller headed sections. That would help me a lot better understand the information. I then move on to underlining, which should not be done at the same time as note taking. In fact, it shouldn't even be done while reading. You should read each headed section before you underline the important information. And you should only be highlighting the things that really seem important. Otherwise, you can't differentiate it if everything is highlighted in the entire page. Only highlight the things that you feel are the most important pieces of information. Step 4 is note taking. You should write what you view as important. I did get that right. But you should write it in your own words. That's really the best way to test your understanding and your comprehension of the material while you're reading. You then move on to the last step, which is reviewing. Rereading is a largely ineffective way to review. It's much better if you can ask yourself questions or do the end of chapter study questions, or even practice reciting the key information from each headed section. So overall, SRUN-R can be really helpful, but only if it's done correctly. If you can do everything correctly, it has been proven that it's beneficial for comprehension, memory, and motivation. So follow my last example, not the first one. Here are my references. Thank you.